Whenever I'm speaking to groups, I try to implore them to not be so cynical to think that your voice totally doesn't matter. Yes, there are parts of the system that need to be changed, and yes, it can be difficult just because each congressional district is so big, over 700,000 people. That said, if you're one of the people who bothers to show up, you do have a voice and you will be listened to. Yeah, so this was right after the 2016 election, and many reasons, but you could characterize them, they really come and fit into two categories: policy and politics. First, the political reason was the 2016 presidential election got the most attention for not just the fact that Donald Trump won, but the dramatic underperformance that our party did with working class constituents. Then in terms of policy, the nature of work is changing. I'm someone who fortunately has had the benefit of going to college and going to graduate school and is very excited by the new technologies of today and the new economy that we have. But we also know that for a lot of people, they have been left behind. That for those with a more limited education, the fact is they could get a better paying job 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So I'm really interested in what policies Washington, D.C. can direct that help bridge that gap. I always say this as a good rule of thumb: the more personal, the better. So, a personal email is better than just signing your name to a form email. If you can, actually show up in person, that's obviously the best. If you can't show up in person, making a phone call. I happen to check my own Twitter, and so depending on the day or depending on the time of day, we'll see what some people are tweeting, and I try to respond. The same thing with Facebook, but it tends to be hit or miss just depending on how busy I am that day and what else is going on. I mean, I've had ideas for legislation that have come from interactions with constituents, that have come from interactions on the doorstep. Part of the inspiration for forming the Blue Collar Caucus was a conversation I had with a constituent and friend back home. We've met with a pretty wide array of individuals. Yes, leaders of kind of traditional big organized labor. We've also met with a number of leaders from industry. Fascinating sit down with the big three automakers talking about what they're doing in terms of training programs that they conduct for workers. It's really some exciting apprentice opportunities that have been working. We've also, and I thought this was one of the most fascinating meetings, had a meeting with something called the Blue-Green Alliance, because a lot of issues today, you're seeing a split between traditional labor interests and environmental interests, and how we can bridge that moving forward and try to make it a win-win for everybody. Recognizing the importance of climate change and the importance of being environmentally sensitive, yet at the same time recognizing that people need to have good jobs and put food on the table, and trying to figure out ways that these don't end up being a false choice. If you want to be involved with the Blue Collar Caucus, if you think you have an interesting story to tell or something that would be of interest to our members, reach out, call our office, knock on our door. Very open. Like I said, I mean, this is supposed to be a vehicle for policy, but also first and foremost learning and listening.